He's back. 23-year-old Ryan Ciminelli. Last week, this unknown burst onto the PBA scene in a big way, making it all the way to the title match of the CHEETAH Championship, where it took a legend to beat him. Now, just a week later, Ciminelli is once again in the hunt for his first career title, as he faces Michael Haugen Jr. in the semis of the Viper Championship. On the other side of the bracket, two-time titleist and former PBA Rookie of the Year Rhino Page squares off against veteran Steve Jaros. From Thunderbowl Lanes in Detroit, the World Series of Bowling rolls on with the Viper Championship now on ESPN. And we welcome you to Detroit, the third PBA title of the season up for grabs, and fighting for it, Rhino Page, Steve Jaros, Ryan Ciminelli, and Michael Haugen Jr. Rob Stone, Randy Peterson, back with you for week 4 of the PBA's World Series of Bowling. Intriguing storyline today as we have two young guns, Rhino Page, Ryan Ciminelli, not only going old school on us, but also dropping a little Survivor and creating an alliance.
Yeah, a huge alliance for the Southpaws. Rhino Page and Ryan Ciminelli have formed a game plan to eliminate the two right-handers in Steve Jaros and Michael Haugen Jr. At any cost, they're trying to get those right-handers out of there and to face each other in the title match, and they're going to do it old school. Urethane equipment. That's right, urethane equipment. That's what I won with back in the 80s.
Well, we're going way back, aren't we? Here is Rhino Page, the former Rookie of the Year, on the alliance he and Ciminelli have formed.
Well, me and Ciminelli are good friends, and in fact, we've discussed a little bit of a game plan on how we're going to attack the lanes, both throwing urethane, you know, we're trying to get there. I mean, the bottom line is we know that Jaros and Haugen are going to team up together. They're both with AMF. They work together. You know they're going to come up with some type of strategy to knock us out of the tournament. And so we talked and we tried to get a plan together to where, hey, no, we're not going down that easy.
The Southpaws are going to take a page out of the right-handers book, Rob, in that they are coming up with a plan to use urethane equipment as opposed to reactive resin. The difference being that the oil absorption isn't near as fast with urethane equipment than it is with reactive resin. Also, the two Southpaws plan on not practicing near as much as they normally would and hoping that their side of the lane holds up longer.
PBA Viper Championship semifinal. He owns 2 titles. The 7-8 Rookie of the Year, a member of Team USA since 2004. From Topeka, Kansas, he is Rhino Page.
And who can forget the season this guy had just a couple of seasons ago in 07-08, the Rookie of the Year, the shows that he made, the wins, and to top it off this past season, a 300 game in Japan for $100 grand.
Opponent owns 7 titles and 1 major at the 05 Tournament of Champions. From Yorkville, Illinois, here's Steve Jaros.
The Quiet Assassin. Can you believe that this guy has made $1.6 million in his career? That's right. How about 7 titles and a major to go with it?
So here's how our 4 semifinalists got here. Jaros won it in 7 games over Stevie Weber. Rhino Page taking care of Jason Belmonte. Michael Haugen Jr. over Jack Jurek. And Ryan Ciminelli 4-1 over Thomas Smallwood. And we begin with Rhino Page, the lefty, going with the clean shaven look up top. We'll tell you why he has taken care of the hair on the head in a moment. Great start for Rhino.
And playing the twig, the extreme outside line to start. And again, using a urethane bowling ball. That's old school, my brother.
Speaking of old school, Steve Jaros, he throws a little old school at you, too.
He does. Listen to the fingers pop right at the point of release. That is truly old school.
Leaves the 4-7, and you hear that pop. You and I are actually talking today. I remember the first bowling event I ever did with you in Milwaukee, and I kept hearing the pop, and I thought for the whole show you were just goofing on me and making that pop sound, and you're like, Rob, yeah, that's what happens when the fingers pop out of the ball. I'm like, all right, lesson number 1. Thank you, Randy. Steve Jaros in the quarterfinals. Jaros took down Stevie Weber in 7 games. In fact, Jaros trailed in that deciding Game 7 until a match-defining 5-bagger gave him the win. Jaros with a spare here in the first.
You know, Robin, when you talk about old school, when it pertains to the release of Steve Jaros, he's more of a lifter. And right at the bottom of the swing, he'll start to lift on that bowling ball. The modern game today, the players don't lift at all. In fact, if anything, they cup the wrist right before release, and then they open that hand. They kind of give it the Spider-Man shooting the web.
So a pair of spares to open up this semifinal of the Viper Championship. Jaros hasn't won since April 9th of 2005. Rhino Page in the quarterfinals. Took down the two-handed sensation, Jason Belmonte. Belmonte actually was up in that quarterfinal 1-0, and then Rhino Page reeled off 4 consecutive wins to move on to the semifinals here today. Strike in the first, looking for a double. And finding the double.
You know, it's amazing when you talk about equipment. You look at the bowling ball that Rhino Page is using. Again, it's a urethane ball, but it's got surface on it, sanded. Look at the bowling ball that Steve Jaros is using, very shiny. 37-foot oil pattern. There's a lot of friction out there, but this is how far the equipment game has come over the years.
Be right. Really? Yeah, that's nice.
6-8 split he leaves.
Yeah, that's just a bad break, too. Rhino Page, not only is he getting it at the bottom of the swing for all it's worth, he's adding some loft to it as well. And that's something you don't see very often from Rhino. He likes to get the ball down on the lane very, very quickly. But again, it's just all part of being among the greatest players in the world out here. You have to be versatile. You have to show your versatility on a weekly basis.
Woof. That one got away from him, and he whiffs in an open frame in the third after opening up with a pair of strikes. Time now for our Lumber Liquidators Know the Wood, and it is the Viper oil pattern, Randy.
37 feet in length. You see that the southpaws are going to play the extreme outside part of the lane. The right-handers, on the other hand, they're going to try to play in between second and third arrow. Looks to be a little bit of a crown there, but the middle part of the lane, there's still a whole lot of friction there. Don't look for a lot of hold in the middle part of the lane on this oil pattern. There's a ball change, third frame for Steve Jaros.
Well, Jaros has seen the highs and the lows of bowling on TV. In 99, he had a 300 game, but in 92, a 129.
You know, right now, there isn't one player out here that can say they've got the highest and the lowest game on TV. You know, I've got both ends of the spectrum, and you'd be surprised how many people remember me for that. So it's actually kind of cool. You know, it was pretty embarrassing at the time. It was a low point. But at the same time, you know, it happens. You know, that same year, we had 133. And, you know, Bob Vesby, he didn't think anybody was going to beat that, and I did.
51 career 300 games for Jaros.
So close.
Strike in the third and leaves the 2-4-5 in the fourth.
He's got 40 regional titles as well. Let's not forget that. You can see where he's playing his launch speed at right around 19.5 miles an hour to start. This one's a little bit slower, and he did make an adjustment on that left lane. But all he's done is go high, light, and has not yet found the pocket on that lane.
As Rhino Page watches. When we return, more on Rhino Page and the Mr. Clean Look. Page, up next. The PBA Viper Championship is brought to you by Lumber Liquidators, hardwood flooring for less. By Geico, 15 minutes could save you 50% on car insurance. By Bear Aspirin, expect wonders. And by the United States Bowling Congress, the all-new bowl.com, your online source for all things bowling. Log on to bowl.com today. Rob Stone, Randy Peterson, welcoming you back to Detroit in our continuing coverage here on ESPN of the World Series of Bowling. We're in the midst of semifinal number 1. Rhino Page taking on Steve Jaros while we're away. Page in the 4th, working off that open frame in the 3rd, would get a spare. And then in the 5th, he would get his 3rd strike of the match. Jaros, spare in the 4th, and a strike here in the 5th. Not as lucky in the 6th. Leaving the 2-10. He whiffs his first open frame, so no longer a clean game for Jaros. Up now, Rhino Page, and here is Rhino on why he has gone with the clean look up top.
Well, I've got my head shaved for the next 9 weeks now. My best friend Rusty Marquez in Fresno is going through chemotherapy, and I told him if he had to go through that I would shave my head with him to support him. We take things for granted in life, our health and everything, and him being exactly my age, going through cancer and all that, it's a little bit scary.
And there's Page's 4th strike of the game. Quick update on his buddy Rusty Marquez and his battle with testicular cancer. He's doing very well, able to get out on the golf course now is Rusty. So good luck, Rusty, and keep it going. And love to have friends like that who'll shave their head for you.
What does that say about Rhino Page's integrity and character?
Yeah.
I mean, how many friends do you know would shave their entire head and go through maybe a little bit of what you're going through? That's just spectacular. What a story.
They're out there, but not many. Page in the 7th. Gets 3 in a row.
Yeah, and that was a big hit. Working on a double, as you see Rhino Page's dad rooting him on. This is for a 3-bagger and a 30-pin lead. Rhino Page really wanted that one.
Jaros, bottom of the 7th, off an open frame. Didn't like it. Brooklyn strikes it, though.
That's probably where
The smile says a lot.
Well, I'll tell you how confused Steve Jaros is when he said that one's not going to hook enough, and it goes Brooklyn. Well, that's when you really know that you're going to have a heck of a time getting your ball to face the 1-3 pocket.
Jaros with a big hole to try and dig out of as we begin the 8th. There's his 4th and his first pair of strikes of this semifinal match.
Man, he finally got a strike on that left lane. There's a form that has really withstood the test of time. Steve Jaros, he says, you know what, I got to get something going, and I got to get it going now. His first double of the game. Rhino Page in control, working on 3 in a row.
Page told me his goal's pretty simple. Player of the year. I got a lot of work to do to get there, though.
Right.
Leaves the 7-pin. He's been working on, as he says, keeping everything smooth from the top of the swing, a little less grab, stop forcing things, and using more of his legs to generate that power. And he really kind of had a sophomore slump last year, Randy. He called it, quote, an almost train wreck. Started poorly, took a step back, worked again, and kind of salvaged what could have been a real disastrous season. As he slams down the 7 for a spare here in the 8th.
Spare for Page.
Coming up next Sunday, it's the PBA Chameleon Championship. Amleto Monicelli taking on Bill O'Neill, Sean Rash versus Ronnie Russell. And then the following week, it will be the PBA Scorpion Championship. Live coverage ESPN, 1 o'clock. Jason Belmonte will be there. Thomas Smallwood, Sean Rash, Mike Devaney, and the ladies as well, Liz Johnson and Shannon Pluhowski. We begin the foundation frame 9th.
Just a little too much oomph on that shot. That ball went pretty straight, comes in late. A little bit too much speed and loft, and that ball never grabbed the lane surface, leaving the 3-9.
You heard him say, settle down, settle down. She tries to take down the double wood. Lead at 17 now for the Southpaw in his 3rd year on the PBA Tour.
Well, you can see how much energy and muscle he's using. This is a strong kid, too. Hoisting that 15-pound bowling ball down the lane like that. Now, Steve Jaros could strike out to shoot 224. Rhino Page is still in the 2 teens.
Oof.
Didn't take long to get that one back from the Brooklyn, did it?
7-10 after back-to-back strikes.
Boy, this is just a rotten break. I mean, Steve Jaros has been battling. He's been hanging in there like a hair in a biscuit. The next thing you know, he gets right back in it. Pocket 7-10 on a double.
Did you say hair in a biscuit?
Yes, I did.
I haven't heard that one. Takes care of the 10, leaves the 7. Now I can't get that image out of my head. Thanks, Randy.
You're welcome. Well, I'm here.
Got away with 1.
Down 31 as we enter the 10th, semifinal number 2 coming up in a matter of moments. Ryan Ciminelli taking on Michael Haugen Jr.
Yeah, the best Steve Jaros can do now is 190. Rhino Page will just need count and any kind of mark. And there's a wide right shot. This match, for all intents and purposes, is over.
He folded camp.
Yeah, and he's really ticked off about that pocket 7-10 to the death. He didn't shake it off quick enough to even give himself a chance in the 10th frame. You know, Robin, the thing that makes that split so bad is he doesn't even give him an opportunity to spare. Remember, in the history of the tour, the 7-10 split's only been made 3 times. Well, if you give him a spare in the 9th, he can strike out and shoot 200. He could shoot 201. That would force Rhino Page to get up in the 10th frame and get good count in the mark.
So at least he finishes strong with the strike there to close out the 10th, and he's done with a 180. And now Page, he missed the season opening Motor City Open TV show by just 1 spot. Was 38th last week at the CHEETAH. So Page will move on to our title match. And Rhino, one of the players you'll see in our first major of the season, the PBA World Championship, which will be broadcast live here on ESPN December 13th. The 26-year-old already has a career that many veterans would envy, but perhaps the most spectacular highlight in Rhino's young career, the 300 game he threw at the Daido Japan Cup earlier this year. The reward, yeah, a cool 100 grand.
To be honest, I didn't know I was bowling for 100,000 for a 300 or anything. You know, when I shot it, PA runs up on the stage and starts yelling, 100 grand, Mop, oh my God, you know. I thought, what? you know, I was totally shocked.
What won't be a surprise is to see Rhino in the finals of any of the PBA Tour Championships this season. He's already made it to the semis of December's PBA World Championships, where he'll join reigning PBA Player of the Year Wes Malott, 05-06 Rookie of the Year Bill O'Neill, and Thomas Smallwood, the former auto worker who's now bowling for a major. And you can see the PBA World Championships live on December 13th, 1 Eastern, coming away from North Rock Lanes in Wichita, Kansas. But who will face Rhino here in the Viper Championship Finals? Coming up, we'll let you know. New sensation, Ryan Ciminelli taking on Michael Haugen Jr. Back here in Detroit, our continuing coverage of the Viper Championship. Ryan Ciminelli taking on Michael Haugen Jr. But first, Randy's quick tip this week will focus on oil patterns.
Hey, folks, let's talk about oil patterns. Now, the oil patterns that you're going to bowl on are a lot different than what we bowl on out here on the PBA Tour. You're bowling on a house shot. Dry to the outside, a lot of oil in the middle. Your objective is to try to get right in between the two. That way, if you miss target wide, the ball's going to hook back. If you miss inside, it's going to hit all that oil and hold its line. As the lanes break down throughout the night, make sure that you move to the inside part of the lane. That's going to keep you in the pocket.
So here's what I took away from that, Randy. Last call, get wide right for me, right?
Well played, Rob.
Time now for semifinal number 2.
He owns 2 titles and 1 major, the 08 Tournament of Champions from Carefree, Arizona. Please welcome Michael Haugen Jr.
MHJ only bowled in 5 events last season because of a partial tear in his ACL. Remember, his only major came at the expense of Chris Barnes. He ended up beating Chris Barnes by 1 pin, 215 to 214.
From Buffalo, New York, welcome Ryan Ciminelli.
Ryan Ciminelli came awfully close last week to winning his first ever career title. He got a really good taste in his mouth, but didn't finish the deal. Today, he is looking to punch his ticket to the title match and go up against fellow southpaw Rhino Page.
Here's how we got to the semifinals. We go back to quarterfinal play. Ryan Ciminelli went up 3-0 over Thomas Smallwood, lost the 4th one, won the next one to win it 4-1. And Jack Jurek threw an open frame in the first frame of game number 6, and that was all Michael Haugen Jr. needed. 246, 238. Haugen moves on to the semis. So semifinal number 2 gets underway now with Ryan Ciminelli, the native of Buffalo, New York. That's how you start.
Boy, he doesn't leave anything in the bag either, does he? He just gets an absolute handful at the bottom of the swing and rips the cover off the ball.
Former All-American at Erie Community College, not an exempt bowler. Michael Haugen Jr. is, however. This is his 13th year on the tour. 6 of them have been exempt. He's won 2 tour titles.
Push. Steve, what did you do to this lane?
And right out of the gate, Michael Haugen Jr. starts off with the lion shot, Rob.
You're going to have to educate me. I don't know what a lion shot is.
If he tells you he threw that one good, he's lying.
Ah, da-dun-dun-ching. Well played, Randall. You're in midseason form already. The big 4. Down to the big 2. So an open frame 8 in the first for Haugen. Michael Haugen Jr., you see wearing an earpiece. And he also has a microphone. We can converse with him in match, and we will do that just a little bit later. His 10th career TV Finals appearance. Had that ACL tear in his knee last year, which really hindered him all season long.
I was going to go high, too.
Right through the nose. He was 76th at the Motor City Open, 51st last week at CHEETAH. Will be in the top 4 this week.
Well, it could be the inactivity from last season for Michael Haugen Jr. and first couple of shots on television are always rough.
So Haugen picks up that one, his first spare of the match after the open frame in the first. time now for the Flomax Weekly Update. And Ryan Ciminelli, wow, what a start to the season. He has made the TV show in 2 of the first 3 shows of the season. Was second last week at the CHEETAH Championship, falling to Norm Duke. So Ciminelli opens up with the pair. And he had some issues last week at the CHEETAH Championship, particularly with that pesky 7-pin.
Yeah, the same pair of lanes, 9 and 10, using urethane equipment like he's using today. The 7-pin was the undoing, and that's basically what cost him the match against Norm Duke. And then he tried to start figuring out how to create carry, went to different balls. None of it worked.
There's his dad, Angelo, 70 years old. Ryan describes him as a full roller back in his day, won the Buffalo Masters and the Anawanda Masters in the same year.
7-pin.
And, look what is standing, the 7-pin.
Man, you're good. You just mention it, and it pops up, it appears. Can you say $1 million for Randy, please?
$1 million for Randy, please.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Again, the issues that plagued him last week, again, pop up. You've got to ask yourself, what's this going to do to this young man mentally? That's a lot of speed, a lot of heat, and a lot of revs.
What do you think Ciminelli learned losing in the title match last week to Duke?
I think he learned patience. I think he learned how to cope with an immense amount of pressure that he's never felt before in his career.
Here's Haugen Jr. You see how he made it to the semis. There's his first strike of this semifinal match, the native of Carefree, Arizona. You know somebody invested some time thinking up the name of that town.
Yeah, it actually fits Michael Haugen Jr. to a T. I mean, where else would he live but Carefree, Arizona?
I like it. I feel relaxed just thinking about it. And perhaps a little hot. Relaxed and hot.
It is Arizona.
And dry.
Now get a hit. Yeah! You guys like that?
Haugen.
There's your hit.
Double.
Back-to-back jacks in the third and the fourth.
Michael, slow start, but you doubled up. What's going on out there?
Oh, man, I just threw the first ball bad. I just tugged it, and, the fronts are gone. I got to roll it through the front, and I didn't roll it through the front. I tried to help it. Last 2 shots, I just made sure I rolled it out to the spot, and it came back and kicked the Kens out. So just got to keep doing that, right, Randy? It's good stuff.
And we appreciate Michael joining us this week on PBA Inside Angle. When we return, our continuing coverage of semifinal number 2. Rob Stone, Randy Peterson back here with you in Detroit, Michigan as we continue our coverage of the Viper Championship, part of the ongoing World Series of Bowling. Semifinal number 2, Ryan Ciminelli, while we were away in the 4th, his 3rd strike of the match. 5th. Yeah, left the 7 again, but cleaned it up. Second time he's left the 7 this match.
Oh, get a hit.
Haugen Jr.
Oh, thank you, baby. Thank you.
3 in a row.
Oh, come on.
Looking for a ham bone.
Yeah! That's how you do it out here.
Ciminelli now down 9 as he begins his effort in the bottom of the 6th. His goals this season, pretty simple. Be exempt.
Watch this 20-mile-an-hour shot with about a 580 rev rate right at the first arrow on the left side of the lane. Right now, Ryan is thinking, what do I have to do to get the 7-pin out on the left lane?
Ciminelli saying, I've wanted to do this my whole life, and he's really been a full-time bowler, Randy, over the course of the last 2 years, but bowling essentially in the shadow of Rhino Page, who he's trying to face in the finals today. Rhino with a great run through the TQRs in his rookie season, really kind of took all the focus away from Ciminelli and was on Page in that wonderful season. And again, another 7 left by Ciminelli. 3rd time he's done that in the opening 7 frames.
I really know what you want me to do. Same old thing.
Family members watching Ciminelli in action.
Well, you heard him say, Rob, it's just like what he did against Norm. And the difference in this match right now is that he can't string strikes together. Double 9, it's a double 7-pin, strike 7-pin, strike 7-pin.
The good news, though, his game has been clean to this point.
Bad news, he's still down by 9, and Haugen's working on 4 in a row.
That lane, man. I tell you.
So that lane obviously bothering Ciminelli mentally and physically. Haugen has found his groove. Strikes in the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th. Here he is in the 7th. Leaves the 4.
Not really all right. I'd like to have had that one.
Haugen has won 2 tour titles, including the 08 Tournament Champions. Won that title after competing in 200 events, and then his 2nd tour title came just 9 tournaments after that TOC.
And who could forget that Tournament of Champions, and not to, you know, revisit the nightmare for Chris Barnes, but Chris had that tournament in his back pocket. Had it. Going away. This is a 10-pin in the 9th frame. Michael Haugen just started stringing strikes from about the 5th or 6th frame on and stole that major title away from Chris Barnes.
He won it by 1 pin, 215 to 214 back in late January of 08. Gets back on the strike train in the 8th.
Come on now. Still got to come and get him. Come on now.
It's just a real good shot here on the left lane. He's setting himself
Like Jay,
up
change that song
for the
up,
9th
baby.
and 10th.
Give me a different song. Ryan's music is pretty good. Give me that one.
People taking musical requests right now. So Ciminelli, the lefty, up here in the 8th.
How far he spreads that index finger.
Kicked that 7 that time.
Come on. Got one more shot on that lane. If I throw it good, let me carry it.
Playing the outside part of the lane, and right now Ryan Ciminelli is saying to himself, if I don't strike in the 9th frame on this left lane where I've done nothing but leave 7 pins, I'm not going to win this game.
What do you say? Yeah!
Yeah, Messenger!
Double
Ryan, get the
for
messenger.
Ryan Ciminelli. That's a big change.
I think I left enough 7s. Come on.
Ciminelli now leads by 2
I'll tell you
minutes.
what, it takes a lot of power to get a messenger to come across like that throwing urethane equipment. It's an everyday experience throwing reactive resin, but not so much with urethane.
So the 2nd time Ciminelli has paired strikes together. Here's Haugen in the 9th. And he pairs a set together as well.
Well, Michael Haugen Jr. is in control of his own destiny in that if he
Double
strikes
for
out,
Haugen. He'll change right back.
he can't be shut out. He'll
Haugen
shoot
now leads by
247. The best Ryan Ciminelli can shoot is 239. I wonder if that song works.
It's working for me.
I could see that.
We begin the 10th.
Boy, just went with the heater right there between 2nd and 3rd air at about 20, 21 miles an hour. Just the frozen rope.
A little extra on that one, Randy. It's a little harder. Wasn't going high.
strike and 3 pins to shut out. The winner to take on Rhino Page.
Come on, beat a ball, be clutch. Oh, good Lord, Mike. That wasn't Rob, that was a bad shot.
Not the ball, leaves
Come
the 8.
on.
Yeah, that was just way too hard. Got pumped up, the adrenaline was flowing, and he just heaved that one right through the break point. It never grabbed hold of the lane. Ryan Ciminelli now has a chance to get up in the 10th frame, throw 2 strikes, and 8 pins, and he will win this match and move on to bowl Rhino Page for the title.
So Haugen will sit and watch.
Baby. One good shot. Well, that's on. Can't win without
That was a big test to see what Ciminelli is made of. Again, he was in the finals last week of the CHEETAH Championship, losing to Norm Duke.
Rob, he's been perfect in this match on this right lane.
Come on.
And it continues there in the 10th.
Come on, baby.
Got to have the next one. Check this out. This is confidence, man. You're playing that far left. Just prying it off your hand and getting it to shred the rack. Nicely done.
Come on. Yeah, baby.
Oh, a late drop of the 10.
Come on, one more good shot.
Needs 8
Come
to
on.
win, 7 to tie.
Yeah, baby. That's the last one.
This young man's showing a lot of maple moxie. 8 or better, he moves on.
Eight, baby. Yes, yes. Talking about. Nice miss from 11.
9 will get him done. Who cares if the 7th standing again? Ciminelli moves on to the title match.
Final score 237-236.
238, 236 up next. The all-lefty showdown. Ciminelli versus Rhino Page. The PBA Viper Championship is brought to you by KR Strike Force, the Bowling Bag Authority. By Storm, bowlers serving bowlers. Storm is the bowler's company. By Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% on car insurance. And by Barbasol, enjoy the Rush America new Barbasol, Pacific Rush Shaving Cream. So Ciminelli, 2 better than Haugen. He moves on to the title match versus Rhino Page.
Well, Rob, you know equipment plays a huge part in today's game, and, well, I've seen your equipment, and it's not very up to date.
No, it's not. That's why I had to go get some help. Every week at the PBA stop, you see this semi parked out in front. It is loaded with nothing but bowling balls, probably just under 5 tons worth of bowling balls, and Kevin Trabon is the director of player services, right? And you're in charge of drilling all these balls. You're going to help me get a ball. How many of these do you drill a tournament, would you say?
We'll drill anywhere from about 150, right around 130 to 150.
Lord. All right, let's get my specs. Thumb, lay fingers across. It's my mother's hands. Gentle. So you're checking the circumference.
Diameter.
That too.
The drill bit is going to touch these 2 lines for your finger holes, and it's going to touch this line and right in the center of that line for your thumb hole.
You're giving me the power to drill my fingertip now.
Yes.
All right. Whoa! 1.5, 1.6, 1 point. It was like filling up with a gas tank and you only have $10. 1.75. Nailed it.
From hole a little bit, make sure everything fits.
And I have a ball just like the pros. 6 pounds, just the way I like it. Seriously, 6 pounds? Couldn't you give me something a little more manly?
Really didn't want to start you off with anything too much now.
I liked you until 6 pounds.
6 pounds?
I was outraged as well.
Oh, my. That's good.
When we return, Liz Johnson takes on Lynda Barnes for the women's title, and after that, the men's championship match between Rhino Page and Ryan Ciminelli. Time now for the PBA Women's Series title match of the Viper Championship. Lynda Barnes taking on Liz Johnson.
She is a 12-time member of Team USA, the 1998 and 2008 Queens Champion, World Bowling Riders Hall of Famer from Double Oak, Texas, Lynda Barnes.
You know, Rob, I watched Lynda Barnes beat Sean Rash on television to win 50 grand, and when she struggles with her game, she gets lessons from a guy by the name of Chris Barnes.
Her opponent also owns one Queen's title. She won the Don and Paula Carter mixed doubles with Norm Duke last season. Owner of 12 women's pro titles from Cheektowaga, New York, LJ Liz Johnson.
Liz Johnson actually resides in the same town as Ryan Ciminelli. She won the 2009 USBC Queens. And when she can play the outside part of the lane with her speed, she can absolutely knock him out of the building.
Lane. So Johnson versus Barnes in our title match. And Lynda Barnes will be first up. Lynda grew up in Concord, California. Went to San Jose State. Her and Chris and their family now reside in Double Oak, Texas.
Roll, baby, roll. Carry. Lean on it.
And here's Lynda on how her and Chris make it all work with all the bowling they do.
You know, we try and balance it out. We're really lucky we have a great support group around us between his family and some friends at home. You know, we couldn't do it without everybody being a team. So it's a team effort, but I try and practice as much as possible. The kids love to bowl, so we're very fortunate there. And we just try and work it out as best we can. That's fair.
They're twins, Ryan and Troy. Been bowling for about 3 years now. We saw them a couple weeks ago on the skills
shot you'll ever throw right there.
or the trick shot
Slide it
show,
over.
actually.
Yeah. Sitting there next to Dad. Chris watching on. First look at Liz Johnson.
Come on.
7-10.
Look at that. Right out of the gate, we saw Michael Haugen Jr. do the same thing in his match. Comes out of the gate, goes big 4, Liz Johnson, right through the nose, 4-7-10. She'll look to get the ball to the left side of the 4-pin and slide it over in the 10. Interesting about her style, even though she's straight, very firm, she actually looks down at the foul line upon delivery.
A la Wes Malott.
Yes, sir. Man, you're getting good.
Takes care of the 7, open frame to kick off our championship match. Liz, back to mid-January of this year, her and Norm Duke teamed up to win the Don and Paula Carter mixed doubles title in Reno, Nevada.
Come on.
That's the Liz Johnson we know.
Normally you'll take the spot somewhere around the arrows, maybe a little short of the arrows, maybe at the dots, which is about, 7 to 8 feet out on the lane. The arrows are 15 feet out. We're seeing this more and more now. Liz Johnson, you mentioned Wes Malott. They pick an intermediate target out, and then they follow that line back to the floor, and they look right at the foul line when they let go of it.
Carry it.
Second consecutive frame, Barnes leaves the 10 earlier during practice.
Let it hook, because it looks like it wants to make a stronger move down lane, but the other ones look like they're reading and then laying off.
Which is what they look like when they started to go away.
So I'm just going to make the 2 and want to be aggressive and make a shot.
She's talking about how she's going to play the lanes and choice of equipment. But right now, early on, what I'm seeing is 2 weak 10 pins back to back because the equipment that she's using or the bowling ball choice that she's made is a little late in making its move to the pocket. Watch how long this ball pushes down the lane before it starts to go.
So are you saying it's time for a ball change, or she needs to make an adjustment?
It's one or the other, but if anytime you see back-to-back weak 10s, you know it can't be a good thing.
Period. Yes.
Take that, week 10.
Yeah, and you see that ball faced up sooner and ended up going dead flush. But here's the thing. When you don't go dead flush, can you still kick the 10 out? Can you still trip the 4 pin? We haven't seen that yet. This shot right here was just perfectly executed.
Johnson, open frame strike. Here she is in the 3rd.
Come on.
And you can see that it's 2 different angles. Liz Johnson's going much straighter. That's her A game. Lynda Barnes, she can hook it more. She can open up the lane better. Remember, it's a 37-foot oil pattern. We got 2 matches bowled on it. It's going to come down to who can carry the best when hitting the pocket.
She bowled the World Championships for Team USA this summer. They finished 2nd to Korea. And won the 09 Queens in April in Reno.
Nice 3-bagger. And again, you see the strength of Liz Johnson when she can play the outside part of the lane, keep her hand up the back of it and just roll it. This is when she's at her best.
Johnson a slow start, but she has picked it up since then. She now has a 1-pin lead. The conclusion when we return.
Hey folks, let's talk about turn versus roll. Now I do a lot of clinics throughout the world, and the #1 problem that I see at release is people turning the ball early and that hand getting over here. You'll never see a top professional get into this position at release. The top pros on the tour work from the inside and go from here to about there. And if you look at it real close, it's only about a quarter turn. What it does is create just enough axis rotation and a boatload of roll. And that combination is what's going to send all 10 pins back in the pit.
I appreciate your tips. I learn something every week.
God, I sure hope so.
Lynda Barnes down 9 when we last left you. Here she is in the 4th.
That's a great 8.
Double wood. She picked that one up in the 5th. She got back on the strike train. Her second strike of the title match. Liz Johnson in the 5th. Would convert that spare. And in the 6th, left the 4. Also picked that one up. And then Barnes in the 6th left the 7-pin, but would clean it up for her 4th spare through 6 frames. Here we are back in the 7th. Barnes, U.S. Women's Open semifinalist.
Good shot.
She likes it, but left the 4.
Yeah, and you know that's troubling to me. When you let go of a shot and you like it, there's no lying in feel, man. When it feels right, comes off your hand, it's pure, and then the ball goes high and goes 4-pin. That's 5-9 spares this game, 2 10-pins, a shaker 7, a 4-pin, and another shaker 7. She's carried one flush strike and one mixer strike. I think right now Lynda Barnes is really questioning her ball choice.
Just want to remind you, following this match, it's the men's title match. Rhino Page taking on Ryan Ciminelli. Fourth strike of the match for Johnson. And that comes after back-to-back spares.
Straighter, more direct, better result. Liz Johnson, again, allowed to do what she likes to do best, and that's throw it straight and hard.
It's the ball to drop there in the 8th, so a pair. As she goes to sit down. So Johnson in control right now. Barnes up bottom of the 8th.
Lynda.
Well, this is just bad execution. You heard what she said. Take a look at the way the two women are playing the lanes. The red line being Lynda Barnes. You can see there's a bit more arc to her shot. Obviously, we've been talking about it through the entire match. Again, I think it's just a question of, you know, was the strategy correct for Lynda Barnes? All right, maybe it's the correct bowling ball, but it's the wrong strategy in how she's playing the lanes. In any event, that's 6-9 spares, a couple of poorly thrown shots, only 2 strikes to show for it. And that's the toughest thing about a one-game match. You better guess correctly, because if you don't, and your opponent gets out to a fast start, you're going to be buried after 5 frames.
I moved off the other one.
See, and to me, she looked like she threw that shot really, really good.
Husband Chris reacting. She hasn't seen a strike since the 5th frame and has just 2 so far in this match.
Back-to-back 4 pins on this left lane for her.
If you're looking for PBA collectibles, head on over to PBA.com's auction site. Game used jerseys, bowling balls, signed photos, and scorecards. They have it all. Click on the auction tab at PBA.com for the only place to find guaranteed, authentic PBA memorabilia. Liz Johnson up 18. Can max out at 244.
Push.
Well, you heard her said push there, Rob, and you could see her hand slightly go around the side of the ball early, and that's what gets this bowling ball to rotate a little more sideways, and that makes it go high. Luckily, she only leaves the 9-pin.
Kicks the 9-pin out for another spare, so she has been clean after that open frame in the first. The lead at 17 as Lynda Barnes sits and waits to see if she's going to have the opportunity to try and sneak one out here. But a mark will shut out Barnes and give Johnson the lead.
That's a winner, Rob. Any kind of mark, that's always a good one. And again, playing to her strengths, the high, hard one.
Now, it's been a good year so far for Liz Johnson. Won the 09 USBC Queens back in April. The most prestigious women's tournament out there. Really helped fill her resume out. Great history with that tournament. And today she wins her 2nd career Women's Series title. And with that victory, she joins Kelly Kulik in qualifying for the PBA Women's Series Showdown presented by Bowl.com, a special end-of-season event that will take place at the brand-new USBC International Training and Research Center in Arlington, Texas. And when we return, the men's title match, Ryan Ciminelli taking on Rhino Page, an all-Southpaw final. We welcome you back to Thunderbowl Lanes. It's men's title time for the Viper Championship. Rob Stone, Randy Peterson back here with you, and it'll be an all-lefty showdown showcasing two young, hard-throwing talents. Rhino Page taking on Ryan Ciminelli.
Remember, the two Southpaws teamed up and got together, came up with a game plan that said, hey, we're not going to do a whole lot of practicing. We're both going to throw urethane equipment, and we're going to own the righties. Guess what? Plan worked to perfection.
Now, they're on their own.
Good point.
Page drops the opening rack, and I love his jersey. It's a weather grid with, I thought that was a hurricane, but you're telling me it's a tornado system.
It's a tornado.
Oh, get on down with your bad self, Rhino. So Rhino likes his music. Michael Haugen doesn't care for it, and Ryan Ciminelli is indifferent, just wants to bowl well. Oh, that got there in a hurry.
Yeah, and with bad intentions.
C-pin, hit pin. Ryan Ciminelli still seeking his first tour title. Again, he was the runner-up last week to Norm Duke at the CHEETAH Championship. Rhino Page with 2 tour titles, 2 and 3 in title matches. Ciminelli, the native of Buffalo.
Yeah. But how about that ball change from Ryan Ciminelli going to a little shiner urethane ball on that left lane?
3 frames, 3 strikes. Here's Rhino Page pulling a Randy and breaking down the title match for us.
I'm not doing something that I'm completely comfortable with these urethane balls. I have to bowl a little bit differently to make them work. Ciminelli, on the other hand, he can play a little more of his A game, so I think he's got a little bit of an advantage of me there. But you know, experience-wise, you know, him only being on his second show, I think I certainly have him there, and I know how I felt on my second show as compared to my 8th show. So you know, he's going to have some nerves, and I think that could play a factor.
And there's something we haven't seen a whole lot of, the 7-pin on the right lane. You take a look at how these two Southpaws are playing. They're playing right on top of one another in terms of location. But the biggest difference is the amount of revolutions that man has versus Rhino Page. So you ask yourself, well, how are they able to play the same spot on the lane? Rhino's doing it with loft and a little bit more surface. That way he could still use that dry part of the lane. He doesn't throw it as hard as Ryan Ciminelli, and he has a little bit lower rev rate. So he's going with some more loft.
I always find it interesting, Randy, when we talk about lefties, is yes, they've had a lot of coaching through the years, but rarely do the lefties get coaching from a lefty. Usually it's a righty bowler trying to educate a lefty, and you see these guys almost a little bit behind the curve education-wise in how they bowl a game compared to a righty.
Oh, boy.
Well, we'll comment on that shot in a minute, but getting back to what you said, Rob, I think you're exactly right. And I think that's why on the tour you see the lefties kind of congregate together and they really stick together. I don't think it's a good idea to have a right-hander teach a left-hander because he doesn't bowl on that side of the lane. He doesn't know what they go through. And getting back to the shot that Rhino just threw, I think he is very surprised that he got 10.
Push a little. All right.
Ciminelli opens up with a 3-bagger. And there's Ciminelli's family in attendance. Family, a big part of his bowling life.
I couldn't ask for better parents, and they've always wanted what I've wanted for myself. And so I went out and I got this tattoo on my arm, and it says both their names, and it says, "A son's love is forever."
So both the names of his parents, Angelo and Janet, on the shoulder.
Shim. All right. I'll take 9 there. Can grab it like that.
There's Dad Angelo. We mentioned earlier his dad was a big-time bowler up in the Buffalo area.
Well, you can just see all the torque and the power and that elbow bend, that cup wrist. It's so violent at the point of release, it actually pulls him off balance.
I love that description, violent. That really lets you know. Well, Ciminelli was 104th at the Motor City Open. Second last week to Norm Duke at the CHEETAH Championship, trying to be the winner this weekend. The PBA Viper Championship is brought to you by Lumber Liquidators, hardwood flooring for less. By Geico, 15 minutes could save you 50% on car insurance. By Barbazol. Barbazol, enjoy the rush, America. New Barbazol Pacific Rush Shaving Cream. And by the United States Bowling Congress. The all-new bowl.com, your online source for all things bowling. Log on to bowl.com today. Rhino Page, there he is in the 4th. 2 in a row. Make it 3 in a row in the 5th. Ciminelli, his effort in the 5th. And he hooks up with his 4th strike of the title match. In the 6th, he did it again. No 7-pin problem so far for Ciminelli here in the championship of the Viper. Ciminelli up 9 as Rhino Page steps up in the 6th.
Nice shot there. Both players have all strikes and 1 9 spare. But the problem for young Ryan Ciminelli is that if Rhino Page strikes out, he shoots 280. If Ryan Ciminelli strikes out, he can only shoot 279 because of where that 9 spare falls in accordance with how you keep scoring bowling.
And again, I want to remind you, Rhino Page shaved his head in support of his buddy Rusty Marquez, who's fighting cancer right now. As we begin the 7th, Page now up 1.
Right. And right now, all the carry factor is in Rhino Page's corner. It seems like all he has to do is just touch the 1-2 and he's going to strike. Check this out. How do you like me?
Scared me there for a moment.
Wake up, Rob. Wake up. It's a title match, baby.
You're jacked up. I appreciate it. How about another strike?
For Ciminelli.
3 in a row for Ciminelli.
Cuts the lead.
Next week, it's the PBA Chameleon Championship. PBA Hall of Famer Amleto Monicelli tries to parlay his international exemption into a win as he takes on Bill O'Neill, who's making his 2nd telecast already of the World Series of Bowling. The other men's semi, Sean Rash versus Ronnie Russell.
No power outage in that show.
0.
Speaking of power.
Come on now. Yeah, nice shot.
Ooh, that is nasty.
Purdy. Ciminelli drops a ham bone there, strikes in the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th. But Page has been perfect since the third frame.
This will make it 6 in a row for Rhino Page. And with it will come a 1-pin lead.
I like it.
Page kicks back a 6-pack. And the lead goes back to Rhino.
I've got the Rhino virus, baby. Oh!
Did they have a shot for that?
I don't know, but look at this. That's a pretty good shot.
We're going to have to limit Randy's caffeine here at some point. It's a great title match. Everybody just dropping a slew of X's right now. And again, both with a 9 spare, but where Page's was more favorable as far as overall potential points are concerned.
14 out of 16 possible strikes. These guys are on fire, Rob.
Looking for 7 in a row is Page.
You're right.
Oh, the little kick!
He says your thing don't hit, baby.
I don't know, but somebody just tripped the 9-pin for Rhino Page.
You're right.
Can I get a break? Okay, there you go.
So Page sits and tries to collect himself. Ciminelli now in the 9th. And now the 7-pin rears its ugly head for Ciminelli.
Wow. Boy, and he made the ball change on the left lane, and he struck every time on that left lane. And he gets up when he needs it most. Boy, and you hear him say it. Rhino Page carries all that, and I hear it and I leave a ring in 7. Welcome to professional bowling, my friend.
It's a cruel mistress
it
at
is.
times.
It's a cruel game.
Ciminelli takes care of that, remains clean through 9.
Right, now he's got to strike out to shoot 258.
Make him show up. Need him all.
Remember, Rhino Page can strike out to shoot 280, so it doesn't matter what Ryan does here in the 10th frame. Rhino Page, he's in the driver's seat.
Back-to-back frames where Ciminelli leaves the 7-pin. We saw it last week versus Norm Duke, and here it comes again.
We saw it in his match with Michael Haugen. Here's the deal. He didn't leave a 7-pin the entire match until the 9th and 10th frame. Boy, and you can really see just how deflating that first one was in the 9th frame. It's just like somebody punched him right in the solar plexus. Strike here, he shoots 247. Rhino Page would need the first hit. A lot is riding on this fill shot. How about that? Back-to-back-to-back 7-pins. Now Rhino Page only needs 9 on the first ball to win.
Last season, Page made 4 championship round appearances, winning just 1 title. Came in Baltimore, Maryland. On the shark pattern, he defeated Wes Malott. 9 pins for his 3rd Lumber Liquidators PBA Tour title.
Rhino Page, PBA Viper Champion.
Needed 9. Takes down all 10.
Absolutely phenomenal ball, man. Congrats. Great ball, and thank you. Yeah.
So Page takes his first title of the season. Time now for our Geico Championship recap. Randall?
Rob, this was Rhino Page's day, and it was indicative from the great pin carry that he received. Ryan Ciminelli stumbled late coming down the stretch with 3 consecutive 7 pins. Rhino Page gets up in the 10th frame, throws the first strike to seal the deal.
With the victory, Page is the second PBA Versatility Swing qualifier for the PBA Experience Showdown, presented by Bowl.com, a special end-of-the-season event that you can see on ESPN Sunday, April 11th. But right now, the focus on Rhino Page, tour title number 3 for the 26-year-old lefty from Topeka, Kansas. Next week here on ESPN, it's the PBA Chameleon Championship. Lynda Barnes, Bill O'Neill, Sean Rash, Ronnie Russell, Shannon Pluhowski, and Carolyn Dorn-Ballard will all be competing. For Randy Peterson and our entire crew, I'm Rob Stone. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. Congrats to Rhino Page.